just can't get enough of these wagons. Ever since I sold my last one, I really missed it. So here we are, starting 2025 with another CE1 wagon build. But we're actually going with another route this time. Instead of doing a tow track build, I'm actually going with a stance VIP build this time, mainly due to its automatic transmission. Since this thing's going to be hella slow, we might as well make it a cruiser out of it. First up, we got the palm front bumper and the one-off rear bumper from Japan that I got off Yahoo Auctions. Only issue I have is that I cannot find skirts that would fit this kit. So I went to the junkyard and got some E90 BMW skirts, and surprisingly, they actually flow really nice together with this kit. Alright, so we got the first coilover on. Mind you guys, this is still in the air. And that is the reason why we definitely need to be on some 17-inch boys. The kit's literally going to be on the ground. So these two right here is actually coilovers from a EF Civic, and these are actually for the 94 to 97 Accord. And so the reason why I got these, because parts for the coilovers are actually interchangeable if they're within the same company. And usually if you want softer spring rates or shock bodies that actually match the valving, you could order coilovers from a lighter chassis than your car to get a better quality ride. I'm not talking about going to the track. If you're looking for comfort, not looking to blow your back out, doing this will be the most affordable way. So 2 sets of these coilovers came out to about $370 if you go and buy them. And once you swap the parts over, you can actually sell the original set for like 100 to 150 bucks. So total, you're looking at only spending about 150 bucks for these coilovers. It will actually make your 94 to 97 Accord super low. You'll literally be scraping the ground. But at the same time, the best part about this setup is actually you will have a good quality ride. It literally rides better than stock. So one thing about the Accord wagon kit though, it kind of flares out a little bit on the bottom side. So I think I do need to mount this a little bit further in so it doesn't look so flared out. Alright guys, so today is the mounting day for the wheels. So we just got these tires mounted on them. So a little bit about the sizing that we're going with. So I got these wheels for a relatively good price. And they are 17 by 8.5. And the reason why I went with 17 by 8.5, y'all gonna say it's a little bit big for the Accord. But I think it's perfect if you are running a full kit. So let me go ahead and show you guys why we needed to drill the hole a little bit bigger on the backside. So these 2 holes right here, I do believe that they used a hardware size that's a little bit too big. The hole's in the right place, but it just barely fits. So hopefully this side fits. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yeah, see how it's barely there, but the hole needs to be bigger just a little bit. So this could go in, and that is why we needed to open up this hole right here. There you go. And as far as for the adjustment, let's go ahead and bring this all the way down because I want to be able to get out of the driveway first. So we're about to raise this thing maybe about like a finger and a half, so maybe like this much, because that's about the gap difference between the front and the rear suspension. This is a little trick right here to get your, let's say if your suspension is like super high up and you're trying to get the suspension, your suspension to mate with your strut. So what you do is you take a jack over here and you could use your jack as a leverage to move up the whole suspension unit to meet with the strut. So that way you don't need to be prying or, you know, trying to manhandle this. We finally got all the coilovers on, and let's go ahead and lower this thing to the ground. Woo! God damn! Okay. Alright guys, so here's the final look, and I sort of got the fitment dialed in a little bit, but there's definitely more work that needs to be done. So right now, I think the car is drivable and it looks good for these stocks, or I don't know, for these wheels. We're gonna be actually doing the install of the upper control arms in the rear so we could go ahead and fit the new wheels that we got, and I think that's really going to finish up the look of the car. Also, we got Mr. Chris Whips here in the house, and today what we're doing in the home is we're going to attempt to put on the wheels, but we are going to do some crazy camber gang stuff, mainly because these wheels plus the spacer is going to be a little bit too wide, and we definitely won't want these fenders to be all fucked up, you know? So obviously your boy got the aftermarket front rear upper control arms, but you already know the stock settings ain't good enough. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna be cutting this in so that way we could screw this all the way into the housing body to give us maybe another inch or so of shortened front upper arm to give us that camber. Alright, so you see that's a pretty clean cut right here, and every time when you cut a bolt, you see that the tip of the bolt is slightly smaller on the diameter, so that's what you have to add on here as well to make sure that the bolt or the nut gets threaded on there easier. Alright, so let's take a look. See if this threads all the way in. Oh yeah, look at that.
It's going crazy. Man.
Here we go, it's a couple more twists. Let's see where we end up at. And boys, we have shortened upper control arms right here. Boom. We went ahead and got the upper control arm installed, and it looks like it definitely has a little more camber. So the next thing that we need to do is we're gonna need to cut off the rear studs. And maybe we might need to trim the fender here, just so we could clear the wheels. What? There's an extra key here? Yeah. What the fuck? Yo! Fire! Is this a spare key for this Honda?
If it starts it.
Oh! Yes!
Come on.
Yo! What? That's so sick. Fire. I might actually need to get, do I need to get shorter lug? Fucking, I don't! Hey, this goes on. Perfect. Perfect, boys. Initial thoughts. The side skirt is already on the ground. But the rear still has that like hella gap in the rear. So what I was thinking is we're gonna need a taller profile tire in the rear. Alright, so I guess yeah, here is the front upper control arm. So what we're gonna do is try to maximize the negative camber. And these are EF Civic front upper arms. Let's see what this sits relative. Looks like it does come in about just a little bit. Instead of having the mounting point right here, now it's moved up to here. So I think that does give us a tiny bit of camber adjustments. Hopefully it is enough. So we actually decided to use these stock mounts instead of the aftermarket ones, mainly because these have a further back mounting position than the aftermarket ones, so we're actually gonna stick to these instead. All right, so we got the new upper control arms installed, and hopefully this gives us a little more camber. It seems like it, because this gap is definitely closed a little bit more here. All right, so here's the most important piece after you shave down the studs. You kind of have to make sure that nothing is sticking out. So you could go ahead and put this, we're gonna use the hub-centric ring to place it over to make sure that this doesn't touch the wheel. So every one of these fill looks good, except this one kind of sticks out just a little bit. You could kind of feel the lip. So that one needs to be trimmed down just a little bit more. Just so slightly. Alright, so next thing is you gotta have to taper it so that way it gives the lugs easier time to thread it. Alright, one last test. And we are all good. So we're gonna be go ahead and trimming this rear fender lip off so we could go ahead and lower the car just a little bit more. Alright, so here's the moment of truth, and definitely remember, don't forget your hub-centric rings, mainly because without the ring, usually aftermarket wheels have a hub that's a little bit larger than your hub, which means that all the weight on the car will be rested onto each single lug. So what that means is having a hub-centric ring will have it balance out more evenly. Without it, if you don't know how to properly torque down your lugs, you might actually run into your wheels coming off. Or even worse, wrecking your car, which is not good in any scenario. So, here's the last wheel, boys! So stoked for this. Alright, so we just got the front mounted. Not too happy with the stands currently, but as far as the camber, it actually looks pretty good. We could go ahead and definitely lower this and maybe take off the guard here. Maybe we don't. I kind of want to leave this in here, but maybe it'll rub, so I might need to take this off and cut the inner side of the fender as well. And definitely maybe lower this thing just another 1 finger or so. That way we can have still enough clearance in the front without getting the front lip all messed up. Maybe 1 finger right here will be plenty. And I'll actually select the rears. What do you guys think? I think the rear sits pretty good right now. We could definitely go lower, but I kind of want to see where the kit sits currently with this before I start going lower, because I definitely don't want to mess this kit up before, you know, getting it too low and just breaking the kit on the ground. But maybe we could do another finger in the rear and 2 more fingers in the front. Who knows? But we did run into a little bit of issue here, mainly due to where the skirt sits. So as you can see that the clearance right here, we got about 3 fingers. Clearance right here, about 2.5, 3, which is good. But then when you come to the rear over here, that's where the problem arrived. We do need to have about 3 fingers of clearance in the back too, which means that I'm actually gonna need to shave this down and pretty much cut the skirt from like right here all the way through. Well, unfortunately, this is the thing with doing custom car parts. You're gonna need to modify it. So, but good thing we got the stance all dialed in. I'm very happy with how this fitment looks, very flush, and it looks about having the same amount of clearance from front to rear, which I'm extremely happy about. And this looks really freaking good. Look at that. So currently, I would say that we could definitely go a little more lower, that's for sure. And maybe just get the front end to sit the same as the rear. I honestly would be kind of happy, just on top of the tire. So what that means is we're gonna need to lower this front end just a little bit more, maybe take out this rubber right here. Maybe we don't. So with the side skirts, my original plan was to mount it regularly, but the rear is sitting a little bit too high, so what I might have to do is I'm gonna have to trim the skirts and maybe reverse mount it upside down to give it more of a uniform look. Alright, so we turn the skirt upside down and we trim off the bottom portion so that way it looks more uniform. So let's go ahead and mount the skirt. Alrighty, so we got the skirts trimmed down, so let's go ahead and mount it. That's actually doable. I'm cool with this actually. It's like a nice, it's actually like a nice ride height right here. I think I can handle this. Alright, so we have finally mounted the skirt on and this looks so freaking good. Oh my god. What do you guys think? Hey guys, oh shit, okay, I don't want no trouble, okay? No trouble for me. This is how you do it, guys. Take it easy. Take your time so you don't skip and break your bumper. There you go. Very smooth, very demure, no scrapes. Oh yeah. This thing handles. Not really. Handles like shit, but this thing is comfy. I just want to show you guys how smooth this ride actually is, being this low and this static. And a lot of the times people think that, you know, you have to spend a lot of money to get good quality coilovers. Like, yes, true, you do pay more money for better quality coilovers. And the main thing between good quality coilovers and bad quality coilovers is that, let's say even with all 4 shocks and springs, they're all the same specs, amount of rebound and dampening. Brands like BC or Kane or any lower tier like sub $2,000-$3,000 brand coilovers, the problem with their coilovers is that you're gonna get different shock rebound rates even if everything's the same. But let's say if you go into the actual performance race coilovers, what you're actually paying for is for that predictability, that all 4 shocks respond to the same amount of reactions on the road. So it gives the driver feedback a little bit better. But let's say if you just want something low, something nice to drive around in, something super comfortable for a good price, you could definitely do what I did, which is I took a coilover set from the same company that has a lighter chassis weight. What that means, it'll actually give you a softer ride quality. But obviously it comes with the perks of you obviously will need to learn how to drive your car being a little bit lowered, and so you don't mess anything up. But that's the only thing. What really gives you comfort in your suspension is obviously your spring rate as well as shock dampening that will actually match your spring rates, and that's what will actually give you a really nice quality ride. As you can see, we're literally driving in the static Accord, and this thing is low down to the ground. Obviously I'm kit low, but this thing is extremely smooth and extremely comfortable to drive in. I would compare this next to, I would say, pretty close to my stock suspension, maybe even better. But maybe the stock suspension was like almost 10-15 years old. Maybe that's why they feel a little bit worse, but I do think that this ride quality is actually really nice.